Hello, Cleveland, and welcome to another post-game edition of the Dogland Podcast. It is a victory, if you want to call it a victory. The Browns did win, so it is technically a victory pod. So the Cleveland Browns beat the Detroit Lions 13-10. They're now 6-5 on the year. I am your host, Jackson McCurry, and joining me tonight is Dogland contributor Katelin Marshall, of course, of Crunch Time with Katelin. Katelin, how are you, my friend?
Hey, pretty good. The Browns won. They're 6-5, and big game against Baltimore next week. Let's go, right?
Yeah,
That's what we should be excited about. But no, of
absolutely.
course not. It feels like a loss. I don't even want to say that, okay? Because for any Browns fan to even say that, it sounds disgusting, right? Because all we know is losing. So now we're upset or feel melancholy because the Browns won. Like I can't ever put myself in that type of mindset, honestly, because we've just watched too much shit football for our entire lives to not at least be happy when they win. Like I can't. I'm sorry. I can't be like that.
No, I feel the same way. Like, yeah, it doesn't feel like we're at the point now where a win has to be absolutely perfect and everything has to go well. Like, no, we can't have that. Like, a win is a win at the end of the day, is to feel good. Yeah, there's things that are bad coming out of this, but at the end of the day, the Browns won. Like, had we lost to Detroit, like, okay, I feel like you and I would have had just like a complete meltdown on this episode and it would have got ugly. I feel like words would have got said that we both would regret in the long run about this team. But yeah, if they had lost to this Detroit Lions team, like I feel like it would have been a lot worse. But at the end of the day, a win is a win. The Browns are now above 500 once again. Like there is good things to talk about out of this.
Yeah, look, the weather was shitty. It was an awful game. Nobody says it was a good game, but there are games and there are, just how many times have we watched games like this where like they've lost this type of game that they needed to win?
Last year,
But that's what I mean.
the Oakland game. Was there another game that we lost that we should have won in this kind of condition? Was it Houston? No, we won the
No,
Houston
we
game.
we won those games.
But it was the
But even
Oakland
like the
game.
Jets, yeah, yeah. But even like the Jets, like that vibe, like they couldn't get anything really going, and that's what I just felt like this entire game. Just like the vibe of the entire game was off from the start. That was the weird thing because it just there's no energy at all, really. Like
No
even when they
flow. Yeah, like
no, none at all. um it starts with your quarterback who played below average.
yeah.
um it's you know it, it really started on that overthrow interception. Landry's wide open, and I just what are you throwing at there, bud? Like I don't understand it, man. I don't get it at all.
Same. I mean, and we might as well start with Baker because he's what everybody talks about when it comes to this team. Like
Yep.
it starts and ends with six. Obviously, I mean he's the quarterback. It's the most important position not only in football but all of professional sports. I mean, just Baker looked like today that he had no business being on the field, and that's not
No.
like even talking about just his play alone because the play was not very good, but I mean, when they're talking about the injuries first and foremost with Mayfield at the beginning of the broadcast, like that tells you right there, like he is so banged up and so hurt, and he probably got even hurt worse today. I mean, he's limping on the field early in the fourth quarter. He's got a bruised heel. He's got the torn labrum already. I'm sure the bone in his shoulder is not completely healed yet, and he's got both of his knees are banged up. Like Baker, like I will never question this dude's toughness because if I had that many injuries, I would not be playing. I would not be toughening it out. But that's just kind of who I am. I would be like, if I'm hurting the team, I'm not going to play. And I know Baker's probably not feeling like he's hurting the team, but I think with all these injuries right now, it just like it's too much, I think, for Baker right now to be out there with all the injuries he has. And I feel like right now he is hurting the team with his play because of the injuries that he has all throughout his body at this point.
Yeah, I just going into this game, I mean, I going into this game, just like every other game, with Baker and his injuries, you go, if he thinks he's healthy enough to get out there, and they think, he gives them the best chance to win, then you play him. But man, just watching him from just like the first throw and the first snap, like he looked, I mean, you just feel bad for him. You're like, if he's playing hurt, okay, and he's right, you got the shoulder injury, now he's got a left foot injury, he's got a left knee injury. I mean, like you said, he's hobbling around in the third and fourth quarter. Like, what do you learn from this? Like, you don't learn anything from it. I don't understand. I don't understand playing him in a game like this today, where Case Keenum can go out and get you, 14, 17 points, like, and have you win this game pretty easily, and kind of like the Denver game, and you just kind of move on to the next week. I just don't understand it anymore. Like, we already know what Baker is, and like, is he gonna miraculously play like he was week 1? All the way in, what week is it now? Like
11.
week 11 or 12? Yeah, after being hurt for so long without like a week off, like it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, you're not learning anything, so why are you playing him in a game against the winless Lions that you're most likely going to win anyway? Like, I just don't understand. Give him this week off, and then if he's ready to go against the Ravens, cool. But if not, hey, you play Case Keenum and you have 3 weeks off, and then maybe you could get him back for the home game against the Ravens in a couple weeks. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me, because you're just putting him out there for to what? To get hurt, to overthrow receivers now? Like, now I just don't understand it. I'm at a loss for words when it comes to like their decision, the entire brass's decision to continue to play a guy who he's just not healthy, man. And this year's chalked anyway when he went and tried to tackle that guy and got hurt. Like, that's the reality of the situation. So it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'll never question his toughness, but he is hurting the team at this point. And not only is he hurting the team, but the decision makers, Kevin Stefanski,
That's what I
Andrew
mean.
Berry.
Yep.
I mean, these guys are pretty much letting him make the decision. And I feel like they know, like, yeah, he's hurt. He's hurting this team, but we're going to let him make the call. Like, that's not good leadership. If you're letting the inmates run the asylum, like, and that's, I wouldn't call the Browns organization an asylum at this point, because I feel like they're a lot better than they were 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
But if you're letting the players make the decisions here, I mean, that's, and it's hurting the team. That's just poor leadership on, in my opinion. Now, I could be totally wrong. And, if Barry and Stefanski feel like he, even though injured, is better than Case Keenum, first of all, why are you paying Case Keenum this much money to be the backup if you're not even going to let him play, and you're not confident that he can go out and get the job done? And second of all, if you're being the leaders and you're saying, hey, we're going to let him play, what does that say for the rest of the team if they don't think Baker, at this state he's in with the injuries, can lead the Browns to wins? Like, I got to wonder, like, what the players are truly thinking inside their minds right now, watching Baker gut it out, knowing that he's hampering the way this offense should operate and just the way the team is going. Because, who's to say, if Baker wasn't out there last week in New England, would the result have been better? Would have we still lost 45-7? I mean, there's a good chance New England's a damn good team. But if Keenum's out there, maybe he makes throws that Baker can't at this state, because, if Baker can't plant his foot because of his bruised heel, he's not making an accurate throw. I mean, who's to say the results from the last couple of weeks have been any different? I mean, we don't know that. You can tell Baker's performance on the field is hampering him because of these injuries. And at some point, Stefanski needs to step in and say, Baker, you're hurt. You're hurting this team. Unfortunately, we need you to get healthy. You need to sit this one out.
Yeah, this is worse than like when Josh McCown almost like died on the field multiple times. Like, this is like, I just feel bad for him. Like, I feel bad watching him just like either get hit or like, he'll break out of a sack and then he's just limping to the sideline just to get like 2 or 3 yards. And you're just like, man, like, how do you not see, like, how do you not see this as a head coach and play caller? How do you not see him just like limping towards the sideline, limping towards you, trying to make, nothing or make something out of a nothing play? And you just go, oh yeah, this is the guy who, I mean, he's well enough to play quarterback in the NFL, and he gives you the opportunity to win this game today. And like, to your point, I mean, they must really hate Case Keenum or something, because my goodness, like, this is the perfect game to play somebody like Case Keenum in. You're going up against the Lions' second or third string quarterback and Tim Boyle, who's thrown 4 career passes in his NFL career. He played awful today, yet like, this is a game where it's like, Baker, just sit, rest for a game, get right. It's cold, it's shitty outside. Like, you're again, you're not going to learn anything from playing him in a game like this. We already know how tough he is. So what do you learn? Like, I just don't understand that. Like, I don't get it at all. I'm very confused.
I'm confused as well. And then after the game, now after like the buzzer, the play clock went down to 0. The teams usually go out to midfield, shake hands, tell each other good luck the rest of the way. They watch they go to Baker, and you see Baker just he puts his beanie cap on, and he's walking towards the locker room, which I thought was weird because Baker's usually a guy that'll go out and talk to players from the opposing team or whatever. And then he just walked off. So maybe I thought maybe he's going to go get treatment on his ankle or his foot or something. And it was just very uncharacteristic of Baker. And then after the game, we were waiting for Baker to talk after to do the usual post game press conference. Says Baker won't be speaking. Then we find out Baker declined to speak, which was he's never did that in his career until today. And now we're seeing the typical post from Emily Mayfield, Baker's wife, which, I mean, this has become characteristic when Baker's down and he's having a tough time. And she's reposting people that are saying, no one better say anything bad about Baker. I don't think I've seen toughness like this in a while. Maybe the rest of the team should take the hint and get tougher. Now, like, this is not good leadership to have your wife post something like this. And I'm not saying Baker told Emily to post this. Emily's a grown woman. She can post this on her own. I just think it's a bad look. A, you skip out on your post game to face the media. B, your wife's posting stuff like this on social media that everybody can see. And C, not going out, even though you won, go out there and, shake hands with the opposing team. Like it's very uncharacteristic things we've seen out of Baker. We know he can be brash, he can be arrogant, but his post game actions today, not typical Baker Mayfield from what we've seen in the past, Kate.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that was all news to me. The fact that he's not speaking, I mean, it's just a weird. What a weird situation we're in, right? I mean, for him to be like this, what, year 4, like, again, after a win, like, you would think you would be happy, and all he has to do is go up there and go, look, I'm banged up, we all know it, I played like shit, but we got the win, we did enough to win the game, and we'll be ready for the Ravens on Sunday Night Football next week. Like, that's all he has to say. And because all you have to do is give cliche answers, right? But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't get it. I don't why make a big deal out of nothing? Like, this is the drama that, like, he's causing himself, and all of this is kind of avoidable, you know what I mean? And I think that's probably the one takeaway from it, because then, like, how obviously people are gonna, like, talk about it and like, oh, he, for the first time in his career, like he declined to talk after a game, after a win, like I said, nonetheless. So like, I just, why create even more drama for no reason? It, I don't get it, man. And then because of his wife, like I don't like talking about any of that because, you know, should she know better to do things like that? Yeah, but you know, Baker can't control what she does, really. So
Very true.
I don't like talking about like people's players' families or you know, their you know their wives, their dads, and the Odell situation. Like I don't like any of that. Okay, I just not a fan. I don't I don't want to get into that drama because because nothing good ever comes of it. Honestly, like nothing good. So
Do you think the booing that the player or the fans did when late in the game, Baker's hurt out there and they're just struggling, do you think the boos got to Baker?
um I mean, probably probably a little bit. I mean, he's probably, I mean, again, we all see him limping on the field. I mean, just think last year, right? The Browns are coming off of a nice little stretch where they won a couple games in a row after their bye week, and it's just basically the same time of year where it was shitty, but hey, they gutted out a couple wins, and I think they ended up playing like Jacksonville and then Tennessee, um, off of this like little break around this time, and you would think like Baker's your guy, and everybody loves Baker, and you just made the playoffs with him, and now you won a playoff game with him as your quarterback,
Right.
and now fans are booing him. I mean, when he's literally like just dying on the field, like of course that would affect him. I I wouldn't boo Baker. I like Baker. I like him a lot, and I still think that he's going to be the quarterback for the foreseeable future. But it's just like, this is why I just go back to Kevin Stefanski. Like, why are you putting your quarterback in this type of situation? Like, why is he throwing the ball? What was it, 28, 29 times? Like, it's raining. It's shitty weather. You have 3 running backs that you use a lot. I mean, you just used Dearness Johnson last week, at least the first drive you did. Why are you throwing the ball 47 fucking times all over the field when your quarterback's getting hurt or getting hit, and he's obviously not healthy? Like it doesn't make sense to me. Like I just don't get it, man. I don't understand it.
No, I feel it too, but it's just like listening to the fans boo him. Just it's shades of Tim Couch like 20 years ago when he
Yeah,
got
really.
hurt. I think it was against Baltimore on like a Sunday night or Monday night. The fans booed him, and then Tim Couch faced the media after the game and got really emotional. Now, would have Baker gotten really emotional after the game? He might not have cried the way Tim Couch did. He might have got pissed off, but yeah, I just think like I'm anxious now for Wednesday when Baker typically meets with the media to see like what happens, like what he says, why did he not talk to the media? Like maybe he was getting checked for his injuries again. Maybe he was getting treatment. We
I'm
won't
sure,
know.
honestly, I'm sure that's what the excuse is going to be, because I mean, you have this laundry list of injuries, right? I
Right.
mean, he's out here looking like the guy from Operation
Yeah.
with so many injuries. Like, Jesus Christ.
That's the first thing I thought of today when they go to the graphic talking about all the injuries. I was like, man, are they playing Operation with Baker Mayfield in the Browns training room right now? Like, that's just crazy to me. Like all the injuries, and this dude's gutting it out. Like, and I said, I'll never question his toughness. I admire his toughness. I love it, and I think Cleveland loves it to a degree. But at the same time, we're trying to win football games, and if Baker's, hampering our chance to win games, then obviously at some point he needs to sit down.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's what it comes down to. And I think from what we've seen, like, are you confident that the Browns can go into Baltimore next Sunday and win? Like, I'm not.
No,
Like,
not right now.
do you expect them to put up 35 points? I don't.
Nope.
I don't. I have no faith in this defense and this defensive coordinator to begin with. So can the offense, can you have a Monday night football game like you did last year where it's just a pure shootout? Like I nothing that this offense has done or nothing Baker's done again because he's hurt. Like I I have no expectations for next week and the next game after the bye week against the Ravens. So it's this weird place that I think that we're in because we had all this hope for this year, and now like the actual like reality of, hey, this year's chalk is really like set in for I think a lot of fans, and that's why they're frustrated. That's why they're taking it out on Baker, and he deserves he deserves criticism because he's the guy out there and he's not playing well. He also deserves criticism, right? Because he was dumb and tried to make a stupid tackle after an interception, and potentially costs you where you want to go because of that, and cost you like the potential of like your offense and how the entire team has been playing. But man, I know this is all on Baker. Hey, the Browns won this game, right? Like,
oh yeah, we're gonna get to the game. We're gonna get to the positives for sure. I mean, hey, let's start off with Nick Chubb. Obviously, let's get to something positive. Nick Chubb, first
that's
game
awesome.
back. He was amazing. First game back after having COVID. I mean, he said he only had symptoms for like a day, but obviously he missed almost 2 weeks of practice. Dude steps back in first game, rips off nearly 6 yards per carry, 22 carries for 130 yards. I mean, good to have Nick Chubb back. And he had a receiving touchdown, which he doesn't have those too often. Great play action play call by Stefanski. Baker executed it perfectly, getting the ball to Chubb quick. But Chubb coming back, being effective, being dominant, being typical Nick Chubb, definitely something that the Browns needed. Provided a little spark on offense, even though the passing game wasn't completely there today.
Yeah. I think I saw this stat. The Browns are 16-5 if Nick Chubb runs for over 100 yards. Why weren't they giving him the ball more, or at least running the ball more, throughout the game? I think I saw
It did run it 36 times today, so they did run it more than they threw, which I expected today, especially with the weather conditions.
I thought I saw a tweet though. I might be okay. Maybe I was wrong, but I thought I saw a tweet that said like in the third quarter, like they had like only 3 or 4
I think LaShawn I think he said it was only 5 run plays in the third quarter.
5 run plays.
So, I mean, they did go away from it in the third quarter, but they did obviously bring it back in the fourth once, Detroit scored and made it pretty close.
Okay. Sometimes I feel like they get a little too fancy, but I mean, hey, look, if they ran the ball 30 something times, my bad. That's
you're good. Yeah. I mean, they did like Chubb. This is my only thing is like, we know how effective Dearness Johnson can be. Yep. Why don't they give him the ball? It seems like when Hunt's out there, they try to even up the touches between Chubb and Hunt. But it's like, what more does Dearness Johnson have to do to prove himself? In his 2 starts, he's had over 100 yards rushing. He had a nearly 100-yard game last year against Dallas. Like, we know Dearness Johnson can be an effective running back in this league, especially in this offense. Why aren't they giving him the ball more? Like, they let Felton run it a few times today. They did an end around with Njoku. We'll get to
that was something.
Yeah,
that was something. The old tight end reverse.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that before, and I kind of hope to never see it again, even though Njoku did get positive yardage out of it. But like, my thing with like last week, even with New England, the first drive, boom, Dearness Johnson runs it down their throat, 7 carries, 58 yards. Then it was like they went away from the running game as soon as New England tied the game up. And then obviously once Baker intercepted, it was like the entire game plan went out the window. Yeah. I didn't get to talk about the New England game last week, so I'm kind of venting a little bit, but like, we know how effective Dearness Johnson can be. why not just split the carries? Let Dearness get him some, let Chubb get some, just run it down Detroit's throat and, just go crazy with the run game.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, especially Nick Chubb, right? He's coming off of COVID. He's probably not like 100%. Yet Dearness Johnson only gets 5 carries, even though he was averaging 5.2 per carry. Like, again, it didn't really make much sense to me. And to your point, the way they use Kareem Hunt, like Dearness Johnson is I think a very capable back. Maybe you're not gonna split like the exact amount, like if Kareem Hunt was there instead of Dearness Johnson, but to make it maybe like a 65 35 type of a split, especially when he's running the ball effectively. Like I don't understand it. There was also a number of like holding calls on the Browns offense that really kind of
it lowered
killed
Chubb's.
Yeah, it really did kill a number of like weird ones, like Treader had one.
Teller had a couple.
Teller had
like 5 penalties today, I think somebody told me.
Yeah, that was a weird one. Like it was so weird. Again, the whole vibe of that game was just so weird. I don't understand it, man.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very bizarre game. Yeah, somebody told me Teller had 5 penalties. I'm like, okay, hopefully he's not getting lazy after getting paid, but he's not getting lazy because he had one mammoth pancake.
Oh my god, that was
on Anzalone, which LeVar Arrington, which I hope he never calls a Browns game again because he was
awful.
putrid.
He was so bad.
I mean,
felt bad.
That call that when Teller pancaked that dude, like Arrington was so hyped. It was like he felt the way I think us fans felt when Teller made that block. It was unbelievable. But yeah, they definitely need to get the penalties cleaned up. I will say that because it's night and day from last year because we really did not complain too much about penalties outside of, I think, like the very first game against Baltimore. But like this year, the penalties and it's the holdings, the false starts, the offsides on the defense. Like these penalties happen too much. Stefanski said it in the post-game speech to the team, to the post-game media session, like they're going to clean it up. Like, I hope they do because it is getting really old seeing these penalties constantly. And it's the little things that they can definitely clean up. And it seems like they haven't yet. I know Stefanski keeps saying they're going to, but quit saying it and actually do it. Like all these guys are professionals and it comes down at the end of the day to the coaching staff as much as it is on the players on executing. Like the penalties need to stop at this point because it hurts the team.
Yeah, like I think they had like an illegal shift. Like, come on, man. Like how do you have those little things? I mean, early on in the year, I mean, it was bad with the pre-snap penalties. Certain guys are covered, they're not lined up correctly. Like, I mean, Njoku, I think it was like the Denver game where they clinched the run, but he's not lined up on the line of scrimmage, and they have to replay the third down. But luckily, like Dearness Johnson gets like 10 yards on like 3rd and 7, even though he already clinched the game. The play before. I mean, how do you have so many pre-snap penalties for a team that brought back their entire offense? Like that doesn't make sense to me, man. Why are we still having these issues? I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't either. I just hope that it does get cleaned up. They do fix it and, get back to the team last year where they were just like a well-oiled machine. And, it takes all 11 guys. Like, and if one guy slips up, like the rest of the team needs to hold that dude accountable and tell him like, you can't do this because it hurts our team. Like get the shit fixed and like get back to what was working last year. And, when they're winning games this year, like it seems like, except today, like things just look perfect. Things look like they're smooth, like they're a team. Like it just seems like when things get tough, like it's every man for himself. Like they got to get back to the team because at the end of the day is the Cleveland Browns. It's not one individual player. Like they just need to get that shit fixed. The other guy on offense I want to talk about today, outside of Nick Chubb, was Jarvis Landry. Like this week, he made the comments about why he wasn't involved in the offense because it was asked. It wasn't like he openly made these comments. Like the questions were asked. And then, lo and behold, today, like he was a focal point in the offense. He had 4 catches on 8 targets. They did the trick play where it looked like he was going to throw, and then he ended up scrambling, scoring a 16-yard touchdown on the run. I mean, it looked like they made it a point to get Landry back involved in the offense, and I thought he was effective. Like, he's not the same Jarvis Landry he was when he got to the Browns 4 years ago, but I think he still can be a vital part of this team. Not at 15 million anymore. That's a whole nother story for another day. But to get Landry back involved in the offense, to see him be effective, see him being engaged with the team, it was good to see, because I think whether you love him or hate him, Landry is a solid leader on this team. He may not always show it with his words or his actions, but I mean, he was a big part of the turnaround here with the Cleveland Browns, and to see him back effective on offense today was a good sight.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's what I don't understand, especially with someone like Jarvis Landry. Like, to for someone, what was it, Mary Kay, to ask to ask him like about his involvement in the offense. He's like the easiest guy to get involved, right?
Yeah.
Because his route tree, it's like right in front of your quarterback, basically. Whether it's he's in the slot, or you play fake, and he's the guy that comes running across the line of scrimmage on like a little drag route, and he goes through the line of the or underneath like the line of the offense. I mean, he's usually like the little dump off passes. So giving him a couple touches just to like get into the flow of the game, that would be the easiest thing to me, right? Especially when you don't have the amount of receivers that we all thought we were going to have starting the year. It's nice to see him, like I said, just finally get involved, because he's somebody who should get like 5-6 catches a game at a min. Like,
Yeah.
because he's so easy to just like, hey, just dump the ball off to a couple times just to get him into a rhythm. Like, and that's what I feel like the Browns passing offense has been missing. There's no rhythm at all.
No, not at all.
It's like they can't even do the easy things. Like the easy things, just it looks so difficult. You know what I mean? It doesn't make it makes zero sense. And maybe it's because he's hurt. But even with Case at quarterback against Denver, like it didn't look easy. You know what I mean? I don't get it, man.
No, I mean, the wide receiver position has been such a weird thing this year, because obviously with the Odell Beckham stuff, but it's like, Donovan Peoples-Jones has had his ups and downs. When he's on the field, he's been effective. And then he gets hurt, like he can't get into a rhythm. Higgins has disappeared again. I mean, they tried to get him involved today. He had 5 targets, only had 1 catch. Jamarcus Bradley gets called up today, comes in, 2 targets, 2 catches, had a great toe tapper on the sidelines for 37 yards. It was
a nice
catch.
throw by Baker.
Like one of the few great throws that Baker had today was to Jamarcus Bradley, who's a practice squad receiver, or at best is a 4th or 5th receiver on an NFL roster. Like, I've always been intrigued by him. I'm glad he got his opportunity today, but you obviously don't have Peoples-Jones. You don't have Schwartz today, who are both hurt. Like, it's just the wide receiver position has just been such an anomaly. When going back to camp, we thought was the deepest position, to a point where we had to let Kaderil Hodge go, and he can't even sniff playing time for the Detroit Lions, which is saying something, because their wide receiver room is not all that great. So either Hodge was an anomaly, or Detroit doesn't know what they're doing. But like, I feel like wide receiver has to be a position they easily target this offseason, whether it's going out and signing someone in free agency, or drafting someone high. I mean, we're all looking at the draft wide receiver prospects, I think, very closely at this point. Just seeing all the great playmakers there are every Saturday, like, wide receiver is something they definitely need to address. And for those that say that they won't draft one in the first round, they looked at it last year with Rashad Bateman and a couple other guys. And 2 years ago, they almost drafted CeeDee Lamb over Jedrick Wills. So for those that say Barry won't take a wide receiver in the first round, you guys don't know what you're talking about. Like, it's just crazy to me that you don't pay attention as closely as you should.
No, I agree. this team needs just a threat, like outside of Diamond Peoples Jones. You know what I mean? Like there's no separation at all this game. They got, I don't want to say they got bailed out, but I mean, hey, when you end up throwing the ball downfield, like sometimes they throw defensive pass interference flags, and sometimes you get some cheeky first downs. But hey, it happens to the Browns all the time, so I can't. I'm not gonna be mad when it helps us this week. You know what I mean? It's this team is so weird, and that's like basically my main thought about the Browns. We are heading into week 12, and I have no idea what this Cleveland Browns team is, and I don't like that, because this is year 2. This is a team coming off of a playoff win. You played the defending AFC champion Chiefs really well in the playoffs last year. You played them really well week 1, and I like what Jack, do you know what this team is? Because I don't. Like I don't know. I don't understand it. I have no expectations for this team, and I'm sad about that. Like I don't. It's a weird, helpless feeling.
It really is. Like, the only thing I can say is this is a team that's just been hit with bad luck, like week in and week out, and like they haven't been able to find their identity because something always happens. And it's been, whether it's a bad call, a bad play / turnover, a bad injury, like they haven't been able to get into a rhythm or a flow, and I think that's unfortunate. And most teams haven't been able to do that. I mean, look at Kansas City. They're sitting at
Yep.
6-4. No one expected that through their first 10 games. Like, they hit a bump in the road. They dealt with it, and now they're looking like a team that, could go on a run here and still be the best team in the AFC. Like, the Browns just need to find their way. I think that's all I can say at this point, is that they just need to find their way and power through it. Like, they've had bumps on the road, like the Kareem Hunt injury, the JOK injury,
And apparently he got
Baker.
re-hurt again. He
Yeah,
re-injured
he
his
got
hand.
hurt. Yeah, I mean, we'll get to the defense here in a second. It's unfortunate that he got hurt again, but like, they just have to find a way. Like, it seems like the cornerback position, like Denzel got hurt, they found a way with Newsome and Greedy, even with their injuries. Like, the wide receiver position wasn't able to ever find their way with all the injuries, and obviously the situation with Odell. The running back room, look, Chubb got hurt, they found a way. Kareem got hurt, they're still finding a way. The unfortunate thing is the only position where they haven't been able to find their way is at quarterback, and that's the most important position. Baker's toughening it out, but it's like, at the same time, it's like we know he's hurting the team at the same time, and that's the only unfortunate part, is that that's the only position where they can't find their way and push through it.
Yeah, I mean, like we've talked about, you're not learning anything from these games from Baker, other than maybe he's a crazy SOB for even playing with so many injuries. Because it, it's just like it doesn't feel like they make things easy on him. And then, you know, then he has like an overthrow like he did on the first interception, where it's just like he's wide open. Like,
Yeah,
oh my goodness. You know what I mean? But then everything else is just like the most difficult throw and completion that he's ever made. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Yeah, I mean, it's just,
I don't get it, man.
I
I
really
don't
don't.
get
I
it.
don't get it either. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. This whole season hasn't. But I mean, I think unfortunately that's what we set high expectations for this team, but at the same time, maybe we should have took baby steps. I'm not saying like it's easy to say that as a Cleveland fan with all the moves and talent they've added. Like, it wasn't easy to like temper expectations, because we had lofty goals and we thought we could achieve them, and it's just unfortunate that it just didn't work out. But there's
Well,
still oh, go ahead.
I think that's where, people maybe should have reset things after Baker got hurt week 2. Um,
Probably, yeah.
and I think people got excited after week 1, because they were so close to beating the Chiefs.
Right.
Week 2, he gets hurt, but you go, if he's still able to play, man, like, all right, cool. And now you're seeing, him being hurt, plus just the weekly and normal nagging injuries of the NFL season, kind of all coming together. And which is now you have a quarterback who's playing below average in week 11 and week 12, and now you have no expectation or no real thought of like what your team is going to be because of all that. And you can't rely on your defense, because your defense is, we don't even talk about the defense. Like, I have no expectations for this team, this defense.
They're as
week in and week
inconsistent
out.
as Baker. Let's just say that.
They're even worse.
They're
okay?
even worse. They
They're
are
even
worse. I will say that.
They're even worse because they're the best defense on first and second down. That's the thing. They're the best. And then on third down, they
I don't understand it.
The play calling's awful. They give up every third down, third and long. I don't understand it. You have all this talent. On defense, and you can't get any stops consistently.
How do we go from the best defense on first and second down to like one of the worst on third down and fourth down, for that matter? Like,
I don't know.
Like, I look at PFF and like, I don't take it as gospel. They say we're a top 10 defense. And then I watch and I'm like, on third and fourth down, we got to be like one of the bottom 5, if not the worst. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. But you're right. Like, so much talent on that defense. Like, we forced 2 turnovers today, but we only won by 3 points.
Yep.
Because we gave up 170 on the ground. And like,
long run on 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 8.
Yeah. And then there was no pressure today. Like, Miles had 2 QB hits. That's the only thing on the, like, I would not expect double-digit pressures tomorrow.
I guess against Tim Boyle, you weren't able to sack him.
But I mean, it's like, this is recent history. Look, Brandon Allen, the Denver quarterback, and then who was the other backup that we let look like? We were talking about it today. Oh shoot. Was it the Houston quarterback? Mills?
Yeah, we let Mills.
Yeah, Mills. I feel like there was somebody else too.
Jacksonville last year. Mike Glennon.
Oh yeah, and then he was able to in the freaking playoff game.
Yep.
Oh my god.
It doesn't make any sense, but because you have these games against like Justin Fields in his first start where he had one total passing yard or whatever it was, because you sacked him so many times, or even this game where Boyle only had 80 something passing yards, like, and in total, because you only give up 80 something, like your total yardage is really good and it's going to keep you high in the ranking. But it's just like I don't get it. The fact that Joe Woods had the gall to say, hey, after people talked after Myles Garrett called him out last week, and then on Thursday he brings up that the fact that their adjustment was they were able to get a 3 and out after halftime, after they let them go 6 for 6 in the first half, and I think it was like 7 of 9 in total of the entire game. Yet you let Brian Hoyer go all the way up the field for a 90-yard touchdown drive. You gave up a 99-yard touchdown drive to a rookie quarterback. Oh yeah, but that's a top 10 defense.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Again, this is another thing I don't understand. And look, all last year after the season, I was like, you know what? The Browns should fire Joe Woods. It was a hot take. Everybody's like, well, hey, look, they had basically me and you playing safety. And I agreed. Okay. But it was just like, they were historically awful on 4th down last year. Like, I believe opposing teams were 12 of 12 on 4th down in the 4th quarter against the Browns last year. Those are money downs, and you can't get off the field. You don't deserve to be a defensive coordinator in this league. And you have the same issues this year to a T. You have John Johnson, who, oh my goodness, like this guy, he doesn't even look like the same type of player that he was the last couple years in LA. Like,
well, that's because they're playing him out of position.
Well,
that's
you know that. I know that.
Yep. Somehow Joe Woods doesn't know that.
That's why I hate like certain defensive coordinators, because going into this year, we all heard about this dime defense and blah, 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 blah. And, they only played 8 snaps a dime all of last year because of the injuries and blah, 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 blah. Yet, me and you had this conversation before the start of the season. I go, they keep talking about this defense, yet Grant Delpit's hurt and was banged up in training camp, yet they're already walking it back. And it's just like, well, why not have players who could play this type of defense? Like, I don't understand. Or, hey, maybe adjust your scheme to the players that you have. Like, I think for the most part, Kevin Stefanski has for the offense. Now, we could nitpick about certain things that he's done.
Right.
But defensively, like, you could tell it's Joe Wood's scheme and certain players trying to put certain players into his scheme instead of him building a scheme around the specific players that he has.
Well, I think it was pretty telling last week when Miles said publicly, now obviously
Miles said it, John Johnson said it,
like John Johnson's not a free safety. He's a strong safety, yet they keep playing him in the free safety position. Like Ronnie Harrison's not part of this team going forward. I mean, I like Ronnie. He made a couple good plays today. He needs to calm down because he tried to have it. He almost had another moment where his temper got the best of him, which would have been like the 3rd or 4th time this year. Like, why don't you move Harrison into the 3rd safety role, put Delpit at the free safety? Now, I don't know if he fits it any better than John Johnson would, but like put John Johnson in his natural spot. Why you guys paid him all this money? Like, start putting guys in their right position to succeed and move forward. Like, start making adjustments. Like, I know you're saying you're going to, but when your players are openly calling you out saying that you're not, like, that would be a sign. And when guys like Jake Burns and guys that break down film can see it, but yeah, you're not openly fixing these mistakes, like, that just it's like you said, some defensive coordinators are just stubborn.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And I mean, you drafted somebody like Richard LeCount to be potentially that center fielder, free safety type player for your future, right? Maybe give him some run. I don't know. Like, he looked pretty good in the preseason, or like you said, just put Delpit back there. He's not a good tackler to begin with. So maybe just having him be the rangy safety that this team needs, and then you're able to, again, like you said, move John Johnson in a little bit more. Because again, the corners are good. Like, Denzel Ward is just continuing to prove that, hey, even though he gets hurt, when he's on the field, he's one of the better corners in the league. And yeah, you have to pay Denzel Ward.
I think that's coming by the end of the year.
Yeah, I think so too. Greg Newsome, same thing. Just, I have nothing but good things to say about Greg Newsome. Even Greedy Williams, like, he's going to go and be a NFL starter whenever he hits free agency for some other team, but he's going to be a solid player for his career. It's just like, it's not that complicated. Like, if we all see this, how could Joe Woods just sit there and just go, oh, we got a 3 and out, or hey, we locked up Tim Boyle. Yeah, but then you also let the Lions just run for however many yards. What was that? You said 180, basically 178.
Yes, something around that.
It's disgusting. Honestly, it's disgusting. And for every complaint people have about the quarterback and Baker Mayfield, I feel like people need to put all that anger towards the defensive coordinator, because it's way more warranted if you really sit there and you think like, hey, the offense has been struggling, right? But then I think of the Pittsburgh game just over and over again, where they don't have a kicker, and the defense and Joe Woods allows Pittsburgh to go right down the field on back-to-back drives, 2 drives of 75 plus yards, touchdown drives, where they can't kick the ball. They're not kicking. They're going for it every single time. Yet you allowed them to do that, go up and down the field when you're winning. Like, I thought they were going to blow this game, honestly. Like, I was just waiting for that big run to come after the giant run by Swift. Like, I was just waiting for that other run to happen. And man, good thing they were facing Tim Boyle, I guess. I mean, but I mean, we shouldn't have to be bailed out by a shitty quarterback, by playing against a shitty quarterback. Like, that's the thing. That's why I'm so angry. That's why I get all annoyed by the Browns defense. Week after week.
I completely with you, Kay. It just, yeah. I mean, I feel like everybody knows the defense is that bad, but at the end of the day, it's just, we got to talk about the quarterback because that's the position that matters. That's the only thing that everybody wants to talk about. I mean, we all see that the Browns defense is not good, and Joe Woods' time is coming. I think everybody kind of knows that the writing's on the wall. It's pretty bad when we're an above 500 team, but we've given up more points than we've scored, which I think right there goes on the defense, that they spent a lot in draft capital, a lot in cap space on. Like, everybody said, like, this defense needs upgraded. Well, it got upgraded, but it's still not that good. I mean, even though the metrics say we're a good defensive team, like, at the end of the day, we're giving up a lot of points. We're losing games that we should be winning. And while Baker deserves some of the blame, the defense deserves just as much blame.
Yep. Wholeheartedly agree.
Is there anything else you want to talk about this game before we wrap things up?
Nah, not really. I mean, look, we've been talking for about an hour.
Yeah.
And the Browns did win this game, though.
They did win.
And you know what? I'm gonna rest my head easy tonight, knowing that the Browns are 6-5 and they get to live another week in the playoff hunt. Because look, for all the shitty games against Pittsburgh and New England, they're still right there. That's the crazy part. You have 2 games against the Ravens, where if you win those 2 games, you are sitting really, really well heading into the last 4 weeks of the season. And the hope is you can sneak out a win next week, right? And then you get healthy with a bye week, or as healthy as you can. You get Jack Conklin back, maybe. I heard
Kareem.
There were some rumors about that. Kareem, hopefully he's either back for this Ravens game or the Ravens game at home after the bye week. And hey, you see what happens, because you play the Raiders, who they're kind of in the playoff mix. You have the game on Christmas against the Packers, which will be a nice test. And then, you finished up the season at Pittsburgh on Monday Night Football. And then you're at home against Cincinnati. And hey, whatever happens, but hey, you got to win these 2 games now. And you're right there. Nobody wants to take this division, it seems like. And if you're a Ravens fan, like, are you happy how you won this game against the Bears? Like, I don't know. I mean, you didn't have Lamar. I mean, and Lamar's always a giant question mark, right? Because he's sick, so who knows how long that'll linger this seat or for this week. Who knows, right? Like, you have an opportunity. It's still in front of you after all the shittiness of this year. And yeah, I think that's the main takeaway. Like of this game and of this week of you, you're able to fight for another week, and yeah, as cliche as that sounds.
Yeah, I mean the door is still open now. It's not wide open, but it's still open. Pittsburgh and LA, who LA's in front of us in the wild card race right now. That's a big game Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned, Cleveland's got Baltimore the next two games, and Baltimore has to play Pittsburgh sandwiched in between the
Yep.
two Cleveland matchups. So, they might beat us that first game, but they could get banged up big time in that game against Pittsburgh, and that could change the whole outcome of not only the second matchup between the Browns, but the rest of the AFC North race. Cincinnati destroyed Vegas today, so they're back up. I think they're 7-4 now, 6-4. But I mean, yeah, the AFC North is still wide open. The uh the AFC wildcard race isn't completely out of the question. Buffalo losing again, they're 6-4. Depends on what the Chargers do tonight. The Colts beat the Bills, so they're 6-5, same record as us. The Raiders are 5-5 now after losing to Cincinnati. And then, Kansas City, like they're in the hunt still. Like it's gonna be a wild finish to the AFC playoff race. Like the Browns have a chance. They just need to take care of business and get their shit together and figure out what's going on and fix it. Obviously, the health is going to play a big factor, but if this team's got enough talent to win, they just need to figure out what the issues are and correct them. And we really know that they have enough talent to get to the playoffs. It's just a matter of can they do it.
Yep. Yep. 100%.
Well, Kay, thank you so much for hopping on and doing the podcast with me. Appreciate you. Have a happy Thanksgiving this week.
You
and
too.
As always, go ahead and plug everything you got going on as we get on out of here.
Yeah, you can just follow me on Twitter at Katelin OCLE. That's Katelin Katelin Knows KNOWSCLE. I haven't really done a podcast honestly for a couple weeks now. Just the Browns have made me sad and depressed, so I had nothing really to talk about. But you could check all that stuff out on it's linked in my Twitter bio thing. So just check it out there. Crunch Time with Katelin, and then baseball season and the off season. We'll be starting back up lead off talk, a baseball podcast too. So if you're interested in baseball and whatnot, just it's all linked in my Twitter. So.
And as always, you can follow me on Twitter at JackMcCurry08 and the Dogland at the Dogland on Twitter as well as Facebook. If we don't put out another episode this week, happy Thanksgiving to all our listeners. We appreciate you all, and we're thankful for you all for listening to this podcast. So if the next time we talk to y'all is next Sunday night, probably Monday night, to talk about the Ravens post game, have a happy Thanksgiving. And as always, go Browns.